Hi, my name is Rodrigo. This is Ether, where we teach and elevate the Bible using digital media. We are continuing our series on how to study the Bible and continuing to talk about biblical genres. In this video, we're going to talk about biblical poetry, which is a really common genre, especially in the Old Testament. Almost every single book of the Old Testament has some kind of poetry in it, and as a matter of fact, the book of Psalms is a book made up entirely of poems. All of this poetry can seem at times intimidating, hard to understand, and for some of us, even tedious, but learning how to read biblical poetry is an important part of our Bible study because the Holy Spirit is trying to communicate a lot to us through poems. As it is often the case with many of our videos, before we talk about how to read biblical poetry, let's talk about why the biblical authors would have used this genre so much. God has a lot to say to his people. Words of encouragement and hope, but also words of warning and judgment. His words are also supposed to be told to a lot of people, and his people are supposed to deeply understand them and keep them not only for themselves, but across the generations. What could be an effective and memorable way for God to say all of the things that he needs to say to his people? Likewise, people have a lot to say to and about God. Words of praise, words of despair, requests for deliverance. How does man express all of these deep things to a God of the heavens who is often beyond our understanding? Poetry packs a lot of meaning in very few words and leaves a deep imprint in the hearts and minds of those who hear it. Take, for example, verses 1 through 4 of the very first psalm. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. The wicked are not so, but they are like chaff that the wind drives away. In very few words, the imagery of verses 3 and 4 richly convey the blessing of the righteous who delight in the law and emphatically communicate the curse of the wicked. This is also done in a simple but very memorable way. Minutes, hours, days, and even years after hearing this psalm, when faced with a choice to be righteous or wicked, the imagery of an unwithered tree sitting by a stream is not just easy to remember, but it's a great reminder to make the right choice. Poetry is an effective and efficient tool that God and the biblical authors use to communicate deep and powerful things to us. We must seek to understand it because of its amazing ability to permeate our lives and literally seal the words of God in our hearts and our minds.